Council in session, please stand for the Worshipful, the Mayor of the Borough Dacorum, Councillor Catherine McCreevy.
Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Council. I would ask members to remain respectful and adhere to the rulings of the Mayor at all times. Can I ask that all persons present turn off any Wi-Fi hotspots on your phones or electrical devices, as this may interfere with the meeting audio. Finally, I would like to remind everyone that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Photography may also take place, as long as it does not prejudice the proceedings at this meeting. I'd also like to welcome Hemel Hempstead RAF cadets, so Cadet Corporal Erin McKay and Cadet Flight Sergeant Leo Russell-Jakes and Flight Lieutenant Paul Mimpress. So, agenda item 1. Does the Council agree the minutes of a previous meeting held on the 18th of February 2026? Agreed. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Members are reminded that if they have interest in respect of any item on this evening's agenda, they should declare them now. Are there any declarations of interest? Okay. Agenda item 3. I've been advised that there is no public participation this evening. So, agenda item 4, announcements. I'd like to give you a short update in relation to some mayoral activities. So since the last meeting, during the last meeting, I was in the middle of a 100-kilometre walk around the boundary of Dacorum, which paused to come to the meeting. During that walk, we visited multiple organisations and were supported with fundraising. So, for example, Lumina Choir came and supported us. And I'd just like to say a huge thank you to every single councillor that came along, everyone that involved your community groups in that walk, because it was really positive. And a particular thank you to Councillor William Allen for encouraging me to walk 100 kilometres in the mud and the rain, starting on Friday the 13th of February. So I'm sure that I will find us a suitable opportunity for William to do something similar in the rain. I've never been so wet in my life, but it was all positive. Visited all the B&M care homes across Dacorum and had some great fun with the residents. Really impressed with if any of you haven't been, the Berkhamsted Rotary Club half marathon. They raised over 33,000 for local charities, and so I think it's really, really important to highlight what they're doing. Some lambing at Boxmoor Trust, and we're very lucky to have Boxmoor Trust. Absolutely fantastic the work they do. So again, just encouraging residents to use the facilities up there. Planted, didn't plant personally, but we had 35 Japanese cherry trees donated to us from the Japanese government under the Sakura project, and we planted them in Gaybridge Park. I didn't plant 35 at all, but just kind of, they're going to look beautiful in years to come. We had the formal Mayor's Civic Service on Sunday up in Leverstock Green, and really, really special evening at the Pride of Dacorum Awards, where we got to celebrate a whole range of organisations and people who are every single day in Dacorum doing work for our community. I would say we could fill this chamber multiple times with the people we have in our community doing voluntary work and working to help people. So a huge thank you to everyone for your participation in that. So I will now ask Darren, do you have any announcements as Chief Executive?
Thank you. I would like to announce the resignation of Councillor Tony Cox from her position as Ward Councillor for Absolute Cornwall. A notice of vacancy has been published on the Council's election webpage. If signatures from 2 local government electors from within the local authority area requesting a by-election is held are received, a by-election will be arranged. Thank you.
Okay, I will now invite the group leaders to give any apologies for absence on behalf of their groups.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm giving apologies on behalf of Councillor Simidiani, Councillor Paul Reynolds and Councillor David Deacon. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, apologies from Councillor Adeleke, Banks, Binder, Durrant and Walker.
Thank you.
No apologies from the Labour Group.
Thank you. I will now go to our Democratic Services Officer to confirm if we have any other apologies.
No other apologies received to Dem Services.
Thank you. Now moving on to agenda item 5, I draw your attention to a portfolio holder update as published with the agenda. I will invite questions against each item in turn. First, though, I will ask Councillor Sally Symington if she has a verbal update to give as Leader of the Council.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors. I wanted to start off with some really good news, and that is that Hemel Hempstead, has been put forward, and we've submitted an expression of interest in the award for Town of Culture. This is a really exciting award that we've put ourselves forward for, and it's been linked with the Arts and Culture Strategy. A lot of it's covered in Adrian's report, and I hope that any questions about it will be able to go to him. But I just wanted really to say how much I welcomed that we've been able to put this bid in, this expression of interest, and also that I welcome that Tring Town Council was also able to do the same on behalf of the town of Tring. I wanted to give an update on local government reorganisation and devolution. And just this is the update that I'm going to give to you. So the government ran a statutory public consultation between the 5th of February and the 26th of March, which has now closed. We're expecting a ministerial decision in the summer of this year, with implementation planned for April 2028. And the councils across Hertfordshire and many others across the country are already working on this transition planning. Alongside local government reorganisation, plans are also currently being considered by Herts County Council to set up a foundational strategic authority. And this is the first step towards a mayoral strategic authority. And there are, as some of you will be aware, I'm sure all of you have seen what's been going on nationally in some of the other areas that are a little bit ahead of us on this. And what's emerged are some of the following patterns, which kind of run counter or a slightly different direction from what we saw when the initial announcement was made about Surrey. So what we're seeing coming forward are multiple smaller unitaries rather than single large councils. Much more flexibility on population size. Originally 500,000 was the indicated population, and we're seeing much smaller councils coming forward. We're seeing a strong focus on financial stability, including debt resolution. Obviously, that's not an issue for us here, thankfully, but is in some other councils. And then a clear separation between the local government reorganisation process and mayoral devolution, with the plan for them to be aligned over time. Dacorum Borough Council, we've reconvened the member working party, and the first meeting was held earlier this week. And I hope that all members are being kept regularly updated through their groups and through the slides that we've shared with all members. I'm not going to fit mine in 5 minutes. I wanted to make a statement on the Flampstead encampment, and I wanted to update members on the situation concerning unauthorised works at Friendless Lane in Flampstead. The council was informed on Thursday, the 2nd of April, of unauthorised hardcore being laid on privately owned land located within the Greenbelt and the Chiltern National Landscape. Given the scale and speed of these works, officers acted swiftly. A temporary stop notice was served on Saturday, the 4th of April, requiring all works to cease immediately. On Sunday, the 5th of April, we submitted and were granted an emergency High Court injunction prohibiting further development on the land, the bringing of further caravans onto the site, installing or connecting the land to services and occupation of the land for residential purposes. A hearing took place on the 15th of April at the Royal Courts of Justice. At that hearing, the court confirmed that the injunction should remain in place. A further hearing will take place on the 7th of May 2026. The court will consider evidence from both sides and decide whether the injunction should continue in its current form or be varied. Until that hearing, the injunction remains fully in force. We will continue to act in accordance with the court's directions. This remains an evolving and complex situation, and I want to reassure members that we are working closely with partners, including the police, to ensure public safety. Alongside this, we are undertaking welfare checks and offering to assess housing and support the needs in collaboration with Hertfordshire County colleagues, as required by law, ensuring that our approach is equitable, lawful, and fully compliant with our statutory homelessness and safeguarding obligations. We recognise the significant concern and distress this situation has caused to local residents. The Council takes breaches of planning control, particularly in protected landscapes, extremely seriously.
Councillor Symington, I am going to ask you to stop now. Thank you. So I'll invite questions. So first of all, Councillor Doris, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just before I ask my question of the leader, can I pay a thanks to Councillor Timmis for her indefatigable work during the weekend of the Travellers' Sites, and she was very much a link in the initial stages, certainly, between the residents of Flampstead and the Borough Council and the other authorities. So thank you to...
Sorry, was that your question?
No, it was not my question. I did say before I asked my question. My question is, I hope that the leader would acknowledge the contribution the borough by those who are honoured with the freedom of the borough. However, they do not have a visible recognition of their service and position other than a scroll. Would the leader therefore undertake to introduce a medal which recipients can wear with honour? At present, there are only a few people with the freedom of the borough. The cost in the overall budget would be minimal. So my question is in there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doris. I'm very happy to take that away and discuss it with the other group leaders at our group leader meeting and let you know in due course or at the July meeting.
Thank you.
Not a particular follow-up, but thank you to the leader for that, and I look forward to a positive outcome.
Thank you. Councillor Gale, please.
By way of background to my question, members ought to know that there have been attacks on Jewish venues in Finchley, Hendon, Kenton and Watford, all in the space of a week. Before that, on the 23rd of March, 4 ambulances provided by a Jewish charity in Golders Green were set on fire. These things are not very far away from us, and there are other things that are happening around the Western world, some of them more serious. When I was elected to this council in May 2023, I didn't expect to be talking about Jewish issues, as I'm sure Councillor Friedman, who made a similar speech, asked a question after the Bondi Beach massacre, did, when that happened. I would ask, just before I get to there, the Board of Deputies of British Jews has very recently published, in fact yesterday, published a Jewish manifesto for local government, which I have here and I have copies, in which the board outlined 6 key pledges for local government to fight anti-Semitism, to safeguard education,
Councillor
to
Gale.
avoid importing conflict,
Councillor Gale, I need you to move on to the question, please.
promote community cohesion, make public services inclusive and celebrate Jewish culture.
Councillor Gale, sorry, I do appreciate the importance, but I do need to urge you to ask the actual question.
I respectfully ask you, the leader, and fellow councillors, if you'll please give consideration to this manifesto and condemn the recent terrorist attack, anti-Semitic attacks.
Thank you, Councillor Gale. Councillor Gale supplied me with a copy of this earlier this evening. I haven't had a chance to read it all, but I want to draw everyone's attention to it. It is available online as well. It is an important document. I think all of us, and I hope I speak for all of us, when I say that we condemn any violence, any kinds of behaviour, such as those behaviours described by Councillor Gale against any community, but in this instance it is the Jewish community that have suffered, and I hope, as I said, that as a council we can be united in condemning that behaviour. And I hope, and I speak for you all, and I have issued a statement as a Liberal Democrat leader, but I hope that I speak for the council when I say that we are united in condemning all instances of hate, discrimination and prejudice, whatever the context and whoever it is against.
So, I'm not sure you answered the question there, but I'll come back to Councillor Gale to see if it's a supplementary.
Well, I take the answer as a yes, that they will consider this document, and I have copies for everyone who's interested. It came out yesterday, it's hot off the press. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just clarify, was that a yes?
Thank you, Councillor Gale. I'm sorry that I moved on from actually clarifying, but yes, I hope, again, you know, we are a council that operates through all the parties involved, and I hope that I can take this forward with not only our group, but all the other leaders and their groups, and bring this back to the council if everyone has had a chance to read and look into it.
Thank you. Councillor Madden, please.
Thank you. Councillor Symington, you assured me before your leadership election that you had accepted the vote for the local plan in 2024 and would work towards delivering it. With this in mind, I was disappointed that you didn't attend the DMC meeting on Thursday and would ask that you explain your position to the Chamber. Do you or don't you support the local plan as it was submitted for examination?
Thank you, Councillor Madden. I think you've conflated two issues. So the vote, the Development Management Committee vote was on a planning application that was brought forward by Redrow under a different set of planning rules. It was brought under a grey belt designation, not under the local plan. So that's the first thing to say. The reason I did not attend that meeting was because I have spoken in the past against that planning application, as I think you're all aware, and therefore I did not feel that I could, in due conscience, vote at that meeting, attend and vote at that meeting without the perception or the reality of being predetermined. And that's why I did not attend the meeting, I did not vote, and a substitute was found so that the committee was full on that evening. Well, it wasn't full on that evening because somebody else didn't appear, but as far as the Liberal Democrat representation, we were fully represented at that meeting.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up?
I do have a supplementary, thank you. Your social media post on Saturday states that you are, I quote, very pleased the residents of Tring got the result they wanted at Thursday night's meeting of Development Management Committee. Would you agree that this indicates that in fact you don't support the local plan as it was presented for inspection?
I don't agree that that says that. What I said was that I was aware of the strength of feeling in Tring. I know how much it means to everyone. I've attended public meetings in Tring. I've spoken to loads of residents. I know how much it means to them, and I was pleased for them that they got the result they wanted.
Thank you. Can I just clarify, Councillor Baradell, I saw your light come on and it went off. I just want to check, was there a question? Oh, good. Okay, thank you. So I will now move on to Housing and Property Services portfolio. I'll take the report as read and I'll just clarify who will be answering questions on behalf of Councillor Diani.
I'm happy to make a statement on behalf of Councillor Diani, actually. So this is basically some news that I wanted to share. So I'm going to add this to the report that's been made. And as I said, it's some positive news because I know that many residents have been concerned about antisocial behaviour in the town, particularly in the town centre. And I think it's very good news that I can now announce something positive, which is that the council secured court injunction in response to the ongoing antisocial behaviour linked to a resident at the property in Knightsbridge Way in Hemel Hempstead. The injunction was granted on the 15th of April, following repeated reports from local residents and a sustained period of investigation by the council, so for which I'd like to thank the officers. The court recognised the significant impact the behaviour was having on the surrounding community and agreed that legal action was necessary to prevent further incidents. The injunction places specific restrictions on the individual involved and aims to reduce nuisance behaviour, protect local residents and maintain a safe and respectful environment for those living nearby. And I hope that you can all join me in thanking the officers for all the work that they've done to secure that. And as I said, it is in response to many emails I get, not specifically about this case, but generally about antisocial behaviour. And I think it's very positive that we are able to take action and resolve these matters for residents.
Thank you. Councillor Mitchell, please.
Who is it? Councillor Simmerton responding on behalf of Councillor Diani. Be able to advise me as to where the new CCTV trials to deter fly tipping will be taking place. Thank you.
In our budget, we've set aside funds for additional CCTV cameras in a number of locations, and these will be being installed as we roll out through the year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do
Supplementary.
Yeah. I'd just like to ask if it would be possible to consider having one installed at Rossgate Shops by the Bring site, which I was told by an environmental health officer was ranked second for the worst fly tipping in Dacorum. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We certainly will be operating a prioritisation schedule, and without being able to comment on exactly, I'm not doubting what you say as to where it's ranked, but yes, it is absolutely our intention to use the funding that we have to tackle these issues, and we know that they matter very much to residents and that a strong response is required. You'll be very pleased that you know, some of the work that's been done to clear the A41, which I'm sure Councillor Brom will be happy to talk about, but you know, it's been in response to, you know, very strong representations from lots of residents and coordination with Herts County Council to bring about the clearing of that area. And we are doing lots of work to resolve the matter of Bring sites and to reduce fly tipping around them, ideally eliminate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I will now move on to Corporate and Commercial Services portfolio. I will take the report as read and I will invite any questions to Councillor Allen on his update. So, Councillor Guest, please. Oh, sorry, Councillor Mitchell, is your light still on from your previous?
No, it's a question first.
It's a new one. Okay, so you're first on the list, Councillor Mitchell.
Thank you. Would the portfolio holder join me in thanking the commercial property team for securing funding for temporary changing facilities at the Cricket Pavilion in Gatebridge? Thank you.
Yes, I certainly would. The team approached the insurance firm and triggered the business continuity clause within the insurance to make sure that some temporary facilities can be made available at the borough's last surviving municipal cricket pitch so that cricket can be played this summer with the support of temporary facilities, including toiletry and changing facilities. That was most certainly a very good outcome.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Would the portfolio holder assure me of your continued support to ensure that we do get the new cricket pavilion in Guilbridge delivered by summer 2027? Thank you.
Absolutely. As you'll see from the report, discussions are underway. It is our intention that we will be replacing, it's not only a cricket pavilion, it is a general sports pavilion, that we'll be replacing the former facility with a building that meets the needs of the sports teams that use Gate Valley pitches. One of the things that is quite, I suppose, a fortunate outcome is that a lot of the facilities within the old building were not really very utilised. People's post-match showering arrangements have changed over the years. And so we have the opportunity of being able to design some facilities that are suited to more modern use.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Guest, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Will the portfolio holder keep members informed of the delivery, connection and opening of the temporary sports facility in Springfields?
You keep people informed. Sorry, instead of
Sorry,
separate
I'm not sure I know
conversation, can we just clarify, do you mean in
Madam
relation?
Mayor, well, it's referred to as the Warner's End Sports Pavilion, although it's technically over the ward boundary in Gadebridge. The field is known as Springfields officially, less formally as the Warner's End Valley, and locally as the Dip.
Is it the one that Councillor Mitchell's just
Yes, it
asked
is.
about? Thank you. Councillor Allen.
I'm happy to repeat that, yes, we are committed to replacing that facility.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. So will the portfolio holder keep members of this council informed of the progress of the delivery, connection and opening of the temporary facility and of progress with the permanent one?
Happy to.
Thank you. Councillor Gale, your light's gone off. Was that?
Yes, my question's been answered.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Elliott, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Allen, I noticed that the insurers are paying out, was it £470,000? Why was the building not insured for its full reinstatement value, which has come over £1 million? Has there been no review done on that building, or were we not paying enough insurance?
Yes, it does seem that reviewing of the value of buildings has not been up to date. As a result of this situation, the property services team are reviewing all of the insured values for all of the buildings within the portfolio.
Do you have a supplementary?
Fine.
Okay, thank you. So next on to Neighbourhood Operations Portfolio. I will take the report as read and invite any questions to Councillor Bromham on his update. So, Councillor Tyndall, please.
Thank you. May I thank Councillor Bromham for the information he's provided so far on the actions being taken to try and deal with the parking problems in Acrewood in my ward. And I should be grateful if he could keep us updated. I believe the officers are continuing to look at the problem, and I know the residents are grateful.
Thank you for that. Yes, it was, there was one particular resident who wrote an extremely long report with a lot of detail and references to laws, and it did help to highlight a lot of the fundamental issues we have with parking congestion in residential areas, and we're striving to address those issues. I can go into more details if people are interested on the, there's possible new regulation about pavement parking, but that's probably not very useful. A lot of people ask for controlled parking zones, but they're quite lengthy to implement and usually not implemented away from railway stations. Dropped curbs are important for people using mobility scooters and things like that. Obstruction of highways and footways is a police matter. Vehicles over 7.5 tonnes can be reported to decorum if they're parked on the pavement, and their prosecution can be a fine can be levied on that vehicle.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary? No. Okay. Councillor Greenfield, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I thank the portfolio holder and the team for the work that's been done to expedite the repair of the tennis court that's used as a car park at Bennett Inn Surgery? Can I ask for confirmation that the work at Coronation Fields will be done in autumn this year, i.e. 2026, because I've been told summer autumn ever since I was elected in November 24. Thank you.
So the works on the car park, we're hoping will start as soon as possible. The suppliers are ready to go, but the car park, what the car park to be, needs to be empty of vehicles, and so there is a slight delay on that front. But as soon as the car park is available to work on, then the contractors can be engaged. There'll be, they need to schedule the work, which will probably take a couple of weeks, but definitely want that to happen as soon as possible. So that's the kind of timescale we're looking at. On the wider park implementations, all the cricket nets, the paths, additional trees and so on, those will be done ongoing throughout the year to be complete by the end of this financial year.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary?
No, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Mitchell, please.
Thank you for the update on the parking solutions scheme. I appreciate that planning matters have had to be considered. I was just wondering if there is any indication of when the first schemes will be started, because we were told previously that they'd be completed, the first 15, by the end of the summer this year. Thank you.
So we have discovered that all of those, or a lot of those schemes, need planning permission, which is another process to go through with consultation and so on. And there's further feasibility work ongoing. So again, there will be, as soon as there are any of those schemes are ready to go, then the contractors will be engaged. But the estimated completion time is the end of this financial year for the first tranche of 15.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Baradell, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I was very happy to read about the successful fly tipping prosecution in Markgate. I wondered if there were any lessons that the council had learned from that we're applying going forwards, especially in terms of rural fly tipping.
That's an ongoing battle. There's a Hertfordshire fly tipping group that helps to coordinate the strategy for that. I'll be attending a meeting on Monday with the Hertfordshire Waste Partnership, which includes that kind of information. So there's several initiatives which Decorum has been implementing, including putting some cameras on the lay-bys on the A41. So out of 9 lay-bys, 2 of them have now each got 2 cameras, and we will be reviewing how well those work, and with a view to expanding that scheme. There's also some covert cameras, not very far from the area where you mentioned, where we're really hoping to get some prosecutions from that. There's also a drone that can be used to more closely examine fly tip situations. So it's an ongoing thing, and continuing to try and progress that creatively in all the ways we can.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary? No, okay. So next, I will move on to the place portfolio. I will take the report as read and invite any questions to Councillor England on his update. Just before I do that, there's a lot of coughing. I appreciate it's that time of year, we've all got dry throats. So can I just encourage people just to have a drink and kind of not cough too much, because I really struggle to hear times. I know you can't help coughing, but just a reminder to drink frequently. So, any questions for place portfolio holder? I'll start with Councillor Anderson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The portfolio holder's report refers to the government's consultation on the national scheme of delegation to planning committees, which runs out tomorrow. Could the portfolio holder please confirm whether the council has passed comment on the threshold of how applications get referred to the committee? Because in the previous consultation last year, it was said that only applications involving 10 dwellings or more would be referred to the committee, which was a daft artificial threshold. Reading the stuff I have tonight, it appears they've just used the term minor residential will not be referred to committee. So could I just ask the portfolio holder if the council will be commenting on that distinction?
Thank you. I mean, clearly that is a key distinction. The line has to be drawn somewhere. I think our contention on that is that as a council, we seek to give confidence to the inspector that we are treating all of our planning applications in the right way. In other ways in the planning system, we're very close to some thresholds to be put into special measures, but then the whole country is not far from those thresholds as well. I will take that away and check exactly what we have done, and I'll report back to you. And if it pleases the council, I'll copy everybody in.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary? No. Okay. So finally, I'll move on to People and Transformation, Climate and Ecological Emergency Portfolio. I will take the report as read and invite any questions to Councillor Smith-Wright on her update. So I'll start with Councillor Jankowski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Following the success of events such as the River of Light Lantern Parade, how can we ensure varied and inclusive community engagement all year round?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, we have had a full and varied programme of events planned throughout the year. Indeed, the Festival of Lights was incredibly inclusive, and we were very proud of how that went. We hope to engage residents throughout the year with a variety of events. Obviously, we've got the traditional events such as VE Day, VJ Day, Remembrance Parade, and the Armed Forces Day, combining with friendly family activities in Gaybridge Park. We've also planned to deliver 6 free roadshow events across the borough, including our adventure playgrounds at Gaybridge Splash Park and Tring. So we're spreading across Dacorum, providing accessible activities to families during the school holidays. And in October, we'll again host our very popular Halloween event in Hemel Old Town and round off the year with festive activities, including the Christmas lights switch on. Alongside this, we actively support partner events, such as the Hemel Hullabaloo Festival, and promote a wide range of community activities throughout our Dacorum Life and our website. So overall, our focus is on maintaining a consistent year-round programme, one that brings communities together and keeps people engaged across the borough.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary? No. No. Okay, so I'll move on to Councillor Patterson, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the increased uptake of My Dacorum, what safeguards are in place for those who are digitally excluded, those residents of Dacorum? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, My Dacorum is additional way to access service. It is certainly not a replacement for human support. And we are passionate about that. So we offer an omni-channel approach, meaning residents can contact us online, by phone or face-to-face, or through pre-booked appointments. We are enabling officers to work directly in the community and in residents' homes. Telephone access remains essential, and in the last 12 months we've answered over 87,000 calls, which clearly shows many residents still prefer that route, a telephone call. And at the same time, digital use is growing. We have to embrace that technology. And we've seen an 82% increase since this January. That was mainly due to the signing up of My Decorum and the green waste bins. And we will be expanding that digital access across our needs and focusing on staff time where it needs most. Because obviously using My Decorum really frees up time of our officers. But we are absolutely clear, digital exclusion is real and we must respond to it. For those who want to go online and need help, we also provide assisted digital support. For those who cannot access digital services at all, we'll maintain the clear alternatives, as I've explained. And also we're working with libraries, community organisations to improve digital skills and access to devices. So in summary, we're reflecting changing expectations, but no resident will be excluded. Support, choice and accessibility remains at the heart of our approach.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll move on to Councillor Freedman, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I note in your report that you've taken on a new format of events like Wild About Decorum, moving away from previous DCAN events. Could you highlight how those changes are there to implement community engagement and participation, please?
Thank you, Councillor Friedman. Yes, well, we're currently reviewing that role at DCAN, and as part of that, we've recently launched a survey to actually reach our members and ask partner organisations how they see DCAN. That feedback is now being analysed, and I'll share the findings in future briefings. The Wild About Decorum event, which you talk about, within this wider programme is a real success. It's a change from what we've been doing before, and I noted there were plenty of you there, and you were surprised at the different style of format. We're hoping to bring people together, strengthen partnerships, and drive community engagement in much more flexible ways. So that was the start of our new style of connecting to people. We already have a very strong foundation from DCAN, from previous portfolio holders, and this high level of collaboration is really happening everywhere. We had over 100 participants, including local and national organisations, and they all share the same goal, which is nature recovery in Decorum. So that level of engagement is extremely encouraging, and overall, a great starting point. So I'm confident there'll be much more to deliver and more for me to tell you about in future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a supplementary?
Just want to
Would you like
check.
to stand? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Just wanted to confirm that I've understood that correctly. So we could say that the Wild About Decorum is a pilot of a style that may or may not, that will continue if successful.
No, it's not a pilot. It's a theme, and we'll be doing a variety of different engagements. That was one style of engagement. Webinars is another. And we'll be collaborating with Great Big Green Week in June. So there'll be lots of different styles of communication that are less formal and more interactive. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hannell, please.
Madam Mayor, members may well remember that in February I asked the portfolio holder a question about her report. I received a reply on the 13th of April. The question I asked about in her report wasn't out of the blue. It was just a question about her report. Does she think that 54 days is normal to get a response, and does she think that's acceptable?
Thank you, Councillor Hannell. I apologise that it has taken me that long to respond.
Councillor Hannell, a supplementary? No. Okay. Councillor Barradell, please.
Thank you, Mayor. On the various civic and community events that the portfolio holder was talking about that are supported in various ways by the council, either organised or through grants, I wondered how many of those were in Hemel and how many of those in parished areas?
They're really available for everyone. They're large enough to include people that are not in Hemel, so for parishes to come and join us. So we do have events in Tring as well. So obviously Hemel is the largest town and has the most amount of residents, so it makes sense to actually hold most of our events here. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary? No, and just there is a parish in Hemel as well, just as a reminder. We do have Nash Mills Parish as well. Councillor Doris, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I notice in your report that the call response times is running at about 20 minutes, which is absolutely unacceptable for the residents of our town and our borough. I'm quite happy to take a written reply because you may not have the information to hand. But could you let us know the timescale to get this back into an orderly manner? Even 6 minutes seems to me to be quite a long time, but it would be good to have a timescale rather than just being the words actively being produced.
Thank you, Councillor Doris. Yes, that was a particularly busy time at the beginning of the year with switching over to My Decorum. We unfortunately had several sicknesses and vacancies. I'm happy to say those vacancies have been filled, so we are back up to strength, but they were struggling. People were wanting to sign up to the waste bins and they were trying to work out how to sign on to My Decorum, so it was a particularly stressed moment of time for the officers. But I'm delighted to say the call waiting time has reduced, and I will certainly follow that up with a written answer as well. Thank you.
That was a clever answer, but it didn't answer the question. Times are being reduced, but we'd like to know what the times are.
Thank you. And as you did say, you'd be happy with a written answer. Given the timing, I'll defer to that. So we'll move on. So, moving on to agenda item 6, we have a motion this evening titled the Grey Belt Designation of Green Belt Land. So if I could invite the proposer of the motion, Councillor Alan Anderson, to first move that motion, after which I will ask for a seconder.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very grateful to Councillor England and officers for the advice received in improving the precise detail of the motion. I gather procedurally I'm in your hands as to whether the meeting would accept me reading out the amended version, the better one, or whether I still have to read the original version out.
So, just to clarify, my understanding is you're reading the amended motion.
Thank you. Okay, changes to the NPPF, National Planning Policy Framework, in December 2024 introduced a new designation in the planning system called Grey Belt, which was defined as follows. For the purposes of plan making and decision making, Grey Belt is defined as land in the Green Belt comprising previously developed land and or any other land that in either case does not strongly contribute to any of purposes A, B or D in paragraph 143. Including the words or slash or any other land that in either case has deviated completely away from the intention of the policy to drive the development of poor quality previously developed land. Moreover, as Greenbelt Purpose A, preventing urban sprawl, relates to towns only, as Greenbelt Purpose B, preventing merging of settlements, has been restricted by precedent and a new proposal to towns only, and as Purpose C, preventing encroachment in the countryside, was removed by the grey belt definition, the grey belt policy is permitting the uncontrolled wholesale development of the green belt and negating the green belt definition. In Dacorum, we continue to see many planning cases of all sizes where attractive, high-performing, open green belt land in the middle of the countryside and or on the edge of villages has been described as grey belt, and planning permission has been granted or been allowed on appeal as a result. The large-scale Fairfax development separate from Gadebridge was allowed on appeal in large part due to the absurd designation of wide open countryside as grey belt land. More recently, the member for the Ashridge ward was advised that a small planning application of 3 houses forming an extension on the edge of Potton End in the green belt is being considered as grey belt development. When the grey belt policy was introduced, the government gave disused petrol stations and abandoned car parks as examples of sites in the green belt that could be considered grey belt and released for development. Instead, the NPPF is allowing development on unspoilt rural landscapes. The Institute for Public Policy Research published research in 2025 that showed up to 1.4 million homes have been granted planning permission but left unbuilt by developers since 2007, and commented, "This is not about pitting NIMBYs against YIMBYs, it is about ensuring the government achieves its ambitious targets whilst also maintaining local support and high quality." Rather than continually blaming the planning system and removing planning controls, therefore, the government needs to focus on more effective ways of increasing the supply, such as addressing issues surrounding viability in the housing construction industry, and on the wider macroeconomics required to make housing less valuable and so more affordable. Dacorum participated in the consultations of the revised NPPF, which closed on the 10th of March. The Council clearly raised concerns over further changes to the grey belt definition, along with other changes relating to the development outside of existing developments, continued protection for the National Landscape designation, and the introduction of permission for major developments adjacent to railway stations. In addition to this, the Council now resolves that portfolio holder for place writes to the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government, and there are 4 bullet points, to express grave concern about how the grey belt policy is working in practice, outlining how and why it is not working in the way it was intended to work, to argue strongly that grey belt should relate only to previously developed land, to prevent the development of areas of green belt that currently perform highly in respect to countryside encroachment purpose C, as was the case when the policy was first put out to consultation, to argue strongly that green belt purpose B should also relate to settlements at a threshold which includes the consideration of large villages, to prevent the coalescence of settlements, and that green belt purpose C should be reinstated in the grey belt definition and provisions in paragraph 155 of the NPPF to prevent the development of high-performing green belt land. And finally, to reaffirm the Council's concerns, particularly the impact of allowing significant new developments adjacent to railway stations when the latter are located in the countryside. That's the motion read out. Anyway?
You can continue talking about your motion until the end of it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I haven't prepared many comments on the motion. In introducing the motion, I hope it can receive support from the majority of colleagues in the Council Chamber. When the grey belt policy was first introduced, I remember thinking at the time that this was just another attempt to relax things and the inertia in the planning system would fight back. But unfortunately, it's not worked out that way. And in a way, it is driving members potty when considering planning matters that this definition has become so distorted and in a way misused. So I think things have come to the point where we need to do something. We need to lobby the government to try and persuade them that this scheme, as it were, is not working the way it was intended to. I hope this can receive support across the chamber, and I will save any further comments for winding up the debate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So, I hope we get the order right here, but please be patient. So, in regards to the motion as amended, Is the council happy to accept the motion as amended and move to debate?
Agree.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Thank you. So Councillor Doris has seconded and reserved his right. So the motion has now been moved and seconded. I now open the debate. I would remind members that you may only speak once on this item for up to 5 minutes in accordance with the rules of debate. So, Councillor England, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is quite a moment. I remember being told off numerous times when I was on the opposition side for bringing motions where we asked the government to do something. I was repeatedly told that this council should have motions on things that it can do. But anyway, moving on. I agree that the NPPF has become too confusing with the chameleon-like concept of grey belt. I want to thank Councillor Anderson for proposing this motion, which I amended for some additional points. I'm glad we're able to agree. As it happens, the motion, which is derived from a Lib Dem opposition motion recently put in North Herts District Council, effectively joins the chorus, since I've already written to the Secretary of State making similar arguments and more. After this debate, I will be happy to write again once I've had a proper chance to follow the series of edits that we negotiated this afternoon, which deserve a slow read. But I am satisfied we're in the right place. Perhaps there is a broader point. The impact of grey belt is shaping towards being a revolutionary factor in supposedly local planning, a top-down factor. And it is a demonstration of the peril the borough faces from submitted planning applications, which then have to be decided at DMC under a national planning policy framework, which is different from the edition upon which we did our preparation of the draft local plan, and which is the rule book and the arena by which I think our residents understand the story of local planning rather better. Since DBC is currently without a plan, since 2013 was the last one, and has currently 1/5 of the housing supply it needs, all of our residents are shown to be unprotected in the event of a Gaybridge Fairfax or a Kings Langley Rectory Farm or something similar, until we have a proper plan-led environment established in our borough. That is why this council decided to proceed with the Regulation 19, which met the threshold for transitional arrangements and which allowed us to make a plan based on the NPPF, which does not have to accommodate grey belt at point blank range. Apologies. Right. At point blank range. In doing so, this council has reserved the potential to adopt a local plan with numbers at 1,016 per year. If we had not voted this way across all our groups and none, right now our housing target would be 1,385. Our land supply below a single year. We would be abdicating our responsibility to deliver updated policies on the 2013 suite, and most crucially, with the major planning applications offering to help the borough reach a target now 40% notionally higher than it is now, we would not have a proper plan for the infrastructure that Dacorum dearly needs. So I appreciate that's something of a digression, but fundamentally, we are in very choppy waters at the moment. We have, the NPPF has been changed more than once. It's being changed very radically. That is the prerogative of the government. But I think last week's events at DMC clearly demonstrated that the people across our borough are confused by that situation, and that cannot be a good thing.
Thank you. I'll move on to Councillor Guest, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The designation of grey belt is not theoretical. It is real. It is happening in practice. Haresfoot Farm, static and touring caravans at Flamstead, a solar array at Bovingdon, to name just 3 examples, of which there are many. This Council's Development Management Committee has had to approve applications not on disused petrol stations or old car parks, but on rolling countryside. Best and most versatile agricultural land has been recommended for approval for housing, just at a time when this country needs food security. The Fairfax development between Gadebridge and Pickett's End, which officers recommended for refusal, which Councillor Pound powerfully spoke for refusal, and which members unanimously voted for refusal, was overturned on appeal. This Council's Development Management Committee has had to approve applications which would lead to the merging of villages which are not protected by the grey belt definition. I support the countryside. I support this country having the food security that it needs. I support the green belt, so I support this motion that the portfolio holder writes to the Secretary of State, arguing that the grey belt designation only applies to previously developed land.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkie, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad to see there's some agreement across the chamber. My personal view is that the grey belt was not defined. Councillor Anderson is right when the Labour manifesto in 2024 was introduced. And examples were given at the time, as my other colleagues have said, regarding scrub lands, old filling stations, and such. Obviously, planning policy evolves, particularly in case law, but having checked the case law and planning law, there seems to be no consistency in the results there either. Most recently, the draft of the MPPF suggests the dropping of footnote 7 in its definition of grey belt. Footnote 7, as you'll all be aware, is the proviso that affords protection to sensitive landscapes. Dacorum has a very significant portion of this land in the green belt and in or within the setting of the Chilterns National Landscape, and this was discussed in detail last Thursday. Often the land will both be green belt, butting in the setting of a CNL. I would like to also support this proposal. I think while it may be that previously it's been suggested that we shouldn't write to the government, that I have no recollection of that, I think it is important that we set this out as a council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tyndall, please.
Thank you.
Microphone's not on, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't wish to confuse matters by proposing any amendment, but can I suggest that the motion would carry more weight if we also mention somewhere in there that we call upon the Local Government Association to support such thoughts and such actions, so that the whole weight of the country's local authorities would come to bear on the government to actually do something.
Thank you. Councillor Mitchell, please. Councillor Symington.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I welcome that you've accepted some of our amendments, and I know there's been some toing and froing, so very glad that we can have a dialogue and a shared vision on this for the benefit of our residents across the whole borough. Of course, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and as Councillor England has mentioned, this motion's based on a Liberal Democrat motion that's used at North Herts District Council. So I'm glad it's reaching far and wide. This council responded very fully to the consultation on the MPPF, including comments around the grey belt. And as the portfolio has already mentioned, he has already sent a letter to the Secretary of State highlighting some of these issues. So really glad that you can all get behind that. And I think the portfolio holder has said he will pick up any other issues that are raised in this debate. So kind of welcome that too. It's clear that the grey belt definition removes many of the protections that we had for our towns and villages. So much so now that all it really does is protect our major towns or our towns from merging. And it certainly risks villages being swallowed up, and it risks significant sprawl into the green belt. I think we're all agreed on that. The motion references the Fairfax development. I really want to acknowledge, I know that the work of Angela Mitchell, who I know attended the appeal process to defend that application in support of which the council supported that objection. Really, the issue in Dacorum is twofold. Firstly, the failure of the previous Conservative administration to produce a local plan, no local plans renewed since 2013, therefore leaving us at risk from these predatory applications that we're seeing coming through. And that, in conjunction with the near 40% increase in the local housing needs number that's been handed down by the Labour government. These are the twin challenges that we're facing. Grey belt is now being invoked by developers in Tring, as we saw last week, and continues to be used across Berkhamsted, particularly along Shooters Way, for which education and transport reasons, these sites were not included in the local plan. So, as I said, I welcome that we can agree as a council that we should be writing to the government, we should be pushing back on this opening up of all of our areas to this definition. And I really hope that we can all get behind this motion. As I said, the portfolio holder has agreed to take up any issues that we haven't already written about, and kind of welcome hearing the rest of the debate. But I think on the basic premise that grey belt is a great risk to our residents and our environment, I think we're all agreed.
Thank you. Councillor Mitchell, please.
Just one moment. As I think most people will be aware, I'm a great lover of the Greenbelt. After I ran a 3-year campaign to try to save the high-quality Greenbelt land southwest of Leighton Buzzard Road, I was fundamental in forming the Rule 6 party, which enabled my team to have barrister representation at a high financial cost to residents and members of the Rule 6 party. My group support the need to clarify the Greenbelt versus Grey Belt issue. I would, however, suggest some amendments. Planning references should be included with any cases referred to, and I would rather we said villages than large villages. As a point of clarification and on very good advice from the Rule 6 party barrister, it's not entirely accurate to say that the Fairfax planning inquiry was largely lost on this issue. In fact, we are indeed already on difficult grounds due to the demonstrably low housing supply and the lack of a local plan from the previous Conservative administration. I personally and passionately hold your administration responsible for the Fairfax development due to the lack of a local plan or an adequate housing supply, leaving all predatory applications an open door to knock on. As a point of clarification, Councillor Pound did nothing to support my cross-party campaign or the work of the Rule 6 party, neither did she turn up to a single day of the 3-week planning inquiry. I know this as I attended every day and would have appreciated the support from my fellow ward councillor. I would like to thank Councillor Anderson for putting forward this much-needed motion.
Sorry, just bear with me. Okay, so given that we've just had an amendment proposed, we're going to pause the original debate, and I'm just going to clarify, Councillor Mitchell, do you have a seconder?
Yes.
So Councillor Greenfield will second that amendment. Do you have anything you'd like to say as the seconder, Councillor Greenfield?
Madam Mayor, can we have some clarification as to what the amendment is? Because I think it was very open-ended, to put it mildly.
Could you please re-clarify the amendments that you were requesting, Councillor Mitchell?
That references are used, planning references are used.
With your speaker on, sorry.
That planning references are used, and I would have preferred it to say villages rather than large villages.
Thank you. Could you clarify what you mean when you say planning references?
The planning references that we use, sorry, put my mic back on, the planning references that were used for the planning inquiry, if we've referred to a planning inquiry or for a planning application, our internal ones.
So our internal references. Thank you. So because an amendment's been proposed and seconded, it slightly changes our procedure. So it might get a bit complicated, so just bear with me. So we will now debate that amendment part only. So anyone who was planning to speak on the original motion, turn your lights off. And just on the amendments, we will have a debate where the same rules will apply. So that you all understood the amendments about villages and large villages and around the planning. So that's what we're debating now. And we will go back to the original debate after this debate. So,
Madam Mayor, may I, in order to draw some clarity and speed to this, the two amendments that have been put forward now are of such a minor nature they don't even warrant a debate, in my opinion. So if you want to insert the planning reference number in brackets and take out the word large, we accept the amendment and move on.
As the proposer, I'm sure.
Yeah,
as the proposer, I'd confirm that, Madam Mayor.
That's agreed.
Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, thank you. We will go back to the original debate, but we're still continuing. So we did have on my original list Councillor Hannell next, but he's no longer showing. So can I just clarify?
Yeah, I wasn't going to speak on the further amendment, but thank you very much for the clarification from the opposition.
Okay.
There to go back to debating the amendment.
Okay.
The original amendment, I think we call it.
So Councillor Anderson's proposal is, yeah, that's fine. So I will move on then to, did you want to speak, sorry?
Of course.
Oh, right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, we do need to get this point clarified, and the Labour Group will, of course, support the amended motion. There is an irony, though, of a Conservative motion which has come from a party that failed to deliver a local plan since 2013, and we're where we are now because of that. From a personal point of view, my ancestors moved here 400 years ago. They're nearly done now. My children can't afford a home here. That line will come to an end. They can't live in Hemel Hempstead anymore. But we've got 8 generations going back to the time in which they came, where they were able to live here. And that is disappointing. And unless we get a grip of being able to build affordable homes for the people of Dacorum, then the alternative is to drive 3 hours up the motorway to see your grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hobson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to echo Councillor Mitchell and Councillor Hannell's comments that this council previously did let residents down by not having an updated local plan following the 2013 plan. And I think we are really, really seeing the negatives of that. I also support pushing back to the government. I think previous motions, when I was previously with the Liberal Democrats in opposition, it was more spurious, the motions that were coming potentially, and not something very specific about which we do have some control, although that control is being frustrated at DMC on an ever frequent basis. It's a shame we didn't push back and push ahead with the original Reg 19, but as I say, that's a slight digression, but I do support pushing back this. It's just a shame that we didn't push back then. And just my final thing, it's really a comment, I wasn't sure where the appropriate point was to ask this question, but just so that we're all in the picture, could the portfolio holder please share his letter that he sent to the Secretary of State already on this issue? Because I think that would be very helpful to all members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. He's nodding his head and thumbs up, so please share that letter. Thank you. Councillor Bristow, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Anyone who has joined me on a development management committee in the past few years would know that there's not been a tremendous amount of love lost between me and the Green Belt. However, if there is one thing I dislike more than housing and affordability, it is imprecision. And it is clear to me that the Grey Belt, as it is currently defined, is not doing its job properly and actually is not doing a good job of protecting the genuinely valuable parts of the Green Belt, and the reason for that policy being put forward back in the 40s. So as a result, I am, yes, actually quite happy to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Doris, please. Oh, just bear with me. Our clocks need resetting. Just pause. This is to do you justice. There you go. Go ahead.
I don't know. Up and down like a yo-yo.
You're wasting your time.
You wait ages for a motion to come along, and then you get three the same day. I don't know, goodness me. Anyway, so I rise to support the motion, and I'm very pleased to hear that apart from one or two sort of spurious interventions about what happened previously in Reg 19 and going off on a little meander about local plan and so on, I think the broad essence from what I'm hearing is that we, across the chamber, are all in accordance with what is being proposed. And I thank Councillor Wilkie for saving me the time in reading out in verbatim a section that was provided by an eminent planning barrister in this parish. So that will save me a bit of a job and save you some time as well. So the MPPF reference to green and grey designations is generally regarded by both planning authorities, planning experts and developers as unclear and open to interpretation in the widest sense. It leaves the options for development open in areas which are clearly inappropriate for development. However, the wording of the MPPF is loose in its support and logical guidance. A single piece of land could be argued as being grey belt by one planner and green belt by another. The 2026 consultation version is suggesting that amongst other proposals, corner plots could be used to infill and potentially squeeze the maximum density out of the development of corner plots. Indeed, Chapter 13 of the document proposes an amendment to the policy to make it clear that the Greenbelt boundaries may be altered in order to support development opportunities around railway stations. But again, that is open to interpretation. This motion is very simple and one which I hope, and I'm hearing, will gain cross-chamber support. It calls upon the portfolio holder to write to the Secretary of State to express our grave concern over the inconsistencies which the wording of the MPPF and at the same time seek clarity of intention and wording from the Minister. And I think that this whole essence of clarity is something which isn't very clear, or isn't clear at all, I would say, in the latest consultation wordings. I understand, incidentally, the number of villages around the country have sought to be redesignated as towns to give them an element of greater protection going forward. I refer you now to Councillor Wilkie's words, so I'm not going to repeat them. Decorum, on a serious point, decorum is not unique in... Decorum is unique. Yes, I know.
Make up your mind, are we unique or not unique, Councillor Joyce?
It's partially unique.
Thank you.
Decorum is unique in being blessed with rolling greenbelt countryside and the national landscapes. Whilst we note that the Council has previously submitted a response to the consultation, we are seeking clarity for that reason, and I trust this will have across the chamber support. And I do sincerely hope that everyone will vote for the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Capozzi, please.
Thank you. I don't want to repeat anything that's already been said, other than to say that to thank Councillor Anderson for bringing this to us, because I think it's really important to get this clarification in. And I'm just wondering why, if it's such a fabulous Lib Dem motion from another council, why the administration hasn't already written in with it themselves.
Thank you. So, before I invite the mover to exercise their right of reply, can I confirm that all members who indicated they wish to speak have spoken, and that the seconder has exercised their right to speak if they wish to do so? So, Councillor Anderson, as the mover of the motion, do you wish to exercise your final right to reply?
Yes, I do, briefly, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Capozzi nearly stolen my thunder, because the first point I was going to make was a curious assertion that it was a Liberal Democrat motion, because I actually got it from a Conservative colleague. But anyway, we won't disappear down that rabbit hole any further. One thing I do have to address is that it's a bit of a bum note. I'm grateful for the support across the chamber, but it's a bit of a bum note. The last Conservative administration did not put a plan, or could not put a plan in place, because the goalposts were being continually moved by the government on a monthly, almost on a monthly basis.
Can we not shout out, Councillor England?
It's true. By the then government at the time, it made it virtually impossible to put a plan in place because the targets were changing continually. Whilst when we did the work we did to prepare for it, we kept on being opposed by the Liberal opposition. But again, I don't want to go down that note. Oh, I've made my point. In terms of the Fairfax scheme, yes, the inspector in the appeal decision did use the word woeful to describe the council's housing supply. But it was clearly in the decision that it was considered as grey belt, which caught those of us with a working knowledge of the planning system by surprise. I didn't include footnote 7 in the motion purely for the sake of brevity, but it is an important point, and maybe I could ask the portfolio holder to consider that, maybe as part of the reply he actually ends up sending. And the same thing applies to involving the local government association, which again, I see Councillor England nodding, so that's a really good sign. But in closing, Madam Mayor, I just want to thank members for their comments, and I hope this is widely supported across the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. As all the speakers have indicated they are in support of the referral, I will take this by way of unanimous agreement. Are we agreed on that? Okay, thank you.
Mayor, could I just ask one thing? Could we ask the portfolio holder, when he does write, to copy us all into his letter and also the response that he gets from MHCLG?
Yes, my understanding is he's written, but he's going to be writing again and sharing that. So is that a yes, Councillor England? That's a yes. Thank you. So, moving to agenda item 7, business from the last council meeting. All updates are provided in the action list point as published under agenda item 7. Are these agreed as noted? Thank you. Agenda item 8, Cabinet referrals. I invite the Leader of the Council to introduce the referrals from Cabinet.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the first item is item 8.1 CA/29/26, Senior Officer Pay Policy. I move the recommendations as set out under item 8.1 of the agenda.
Seconded.
Agreed.
Thank
Item
you.
8.
You all beat me there because I was supposed to say, is this agreed? So yes, all agreed. Thank you.
Item 8.2 CA/35/26, Committee Timetable 2026-27. I move the recommendations as set out under item 8.2 of the agenda. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Madam Mayor, could I just ask that my agreement is conditional on us members receiving the old colour-coded A3 charts in our pigeonholes that we used to have with the committee diary?
You can ask, and I will pass that on to Councillor Symington to consider. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I heard the bit about pigeonholes, but I didn't hear what you want in the pigeonhole.
Sorry, if I'm being allowed more time, I'm trying to do it a bit more coherently. Members used to receive the committee diary in A3 with the different committees in different colours. It's pathetic, I know, and if you're visually impaired, it's not very helpful. But for the rest of us, I'd be grateful if that could be resumed.
We'll speak to them and do that. Thank you. Are the recommendations for that agreed? Thank you.
So can I just clarify that we are agreeing to the A3s?
Yes.
By request, if that's okay? By request. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So can I clarify then that if you would like one, that you email member support and make a request? That's applies to everyone, not just Councillor Anderson. You're all welcome to one, but by request. And they are available, and I know they're still in colour. So I hope you're not colourblind, Councillor Anderson. Item 8.3, CA/36/26, the Independent Remuneration Panel, Review of Members' Allowances Scheme 2025-2029. I move the recommendations as set out under item 8.3 of the agenda. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move an amendment to the Cabinet's recommendations, in effect an amendment to the recommendations of the Independent Remuneration Panel. My amendments are as follows. In relation to the recommendations relating to the Chair and Vice Chairs of the Licensing and Appeals Committees, the SRAs remain as they currently are at 1.5 rather than 1.25 and 0.75. And in relation to the Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Committee, the SRA remains at 0.5 rather than 0.1 or 1.0. And in relation to the recommendation from the Cabinet, as amended by the Cabinet for the IRP, in relation to the group leader for the second opposition group, where the Cabinet amended the requirement to have 5 members to 4, to agree that recommendation, but to move to an SRA of 0.5 rather than that which was recommended at 0.75. There are my amendments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder to the amendment?
I second it.
Thank you. So the amendment has been moved and seconded. We will now debate the amendment only. If your microphone is activated to speak against main motion, please turn that off now. You'll be given the opportunity to return to a substantive debate once the amendment has been considered. So I remind members that you may each speak once on the amendment for up to 5 minutes. So Before I invite the first speaker, I will refer to the seconder of the motion. You have a right to speak for up to 5 minutes and may reserve the right to do so until later in the debate. Do you wish to speak now or reserve your right?
Yeah, I reserve my right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Symington.
I believe, Madam Mayor, that I've moved the amendment, but I can speak to the amendment first as the mover.
You can.
Otherwise, you don't really know what you're debating.
You speak.
I'll give you my rationale for my amendment.
Go ahead.
This is the first time since the introduction of independent remuneration panels in the early 2000s that I felt it necessary not to accept the recommendation of the panel. The panel, in my view, and without being in a position to explain their rationale, and indeed when asked by officers to come to the reason why they've come to these recommendations, were unable to do so. But the recommendation to increase the SRAs for some of the more minor committees with a very light workload seems incongruous to that of the scrutiny committees where there's no recommendation to change. And there are indeed recommendations in here which we have accepted, but in ourselves we wouldn't have put forward. Unfortunately, due to some administrative error, the opposition group leaders weren't given the opportunity to speak to the panel and to give them our view on the recommendations. We have a slightly strange situation here, which we've accepted to increase the allowance for the chair of DMC from 1 to 1.5, which means that now the chair of DMC receives or will receive a larger allowance than the leader of the largest group on the council. Seems a slightly innocuous level of remuneration. But in relation to these smaller committees, there is no rationale for this change. So we would submit that they should remain as they were at the existing level, which I think is an equitable reward for those recognitions. In relation to the recommendation for the leader of the second opposition group, in ordinary circumstances, I wouldn't support a payment for that position, but given the short lifespan of Dacorum Borough Council and the fact that the political balance of this council is not likely to lead to a majority group again in the time that we have left, then it does slightly change the status of that position within the structure and leads to a bit more work. It is the only recommendation that the Cabinet chose to change, and I presume that's more in support of propping up the Labour-Liberal coalition administration we currently have, rather than a recognition that that was the only change that was appropriate. So in my view, my amendment brings us back to an equitable position where all of the committees, the Appeals Committee, the Licensing Committee, the Over and Scrutiny Committees, are all remunerated at the same rate, because I feel they are all on par, very similar committees, and that the Independent Remuneration Panel, for whatever reason, has erred in its consideration of these, and has been unable to justify why it's made these minor changes to smaller committees. So I would ask members to support the amendment and retain the existing equitable SRA system we currently have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Greenfield, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As a former market researcher, I would just like to remind the Council that this was a recommendation from an independent review panel, and if we do not agree with the process that that panel went through, then that makes all recommendations null and void, not just a few that we may or may not agree with. So I would like clarification on whether we're questioning the process or just questioning particular allowances. And for myself, I didn't actually hear all of the detail that Councillor Williams proposed, so I would appreciate a list if we are indeed going to vote on that, because we are not choosing to accept the recommendation, but just bits of it that we do and don't like.
Just bear with me, I need to clarify a process issue. So, Councillor Williams, would you mind rereading the amendments that you're proposing?
Yep, I did send them to all the independent councillors and the group leaders. I left it to the group leaders to pass them on to their own individual groups. My amendment is as follows: that in relation to the the chair and vice chair of the Licensing and Appeals Committee, the SRAs remain as current scheme at 1.5 rather than as recommended at 1.25 and 0.75. In relation to the chair of the Health and Wellbeing Committee, the remuneration of the SRA remains at 0.5 rather than 1. And in relation to the group leader of the second group, we accept the recommendation to move from 5 to 4 members as a requirement, but at a rate of 0.5 rather than 0.75. And if it helps to clarify Councillor Greenfield's question, I'm not questioning the process that the committee used. I am saying that we don't agree with the conclusions they reached.
Thank you. So I now have Councillor Symington, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Councillor Williams. Apologies. As Councillor Williams has indicated.
Councillor Symington, is this your final right to reply, or are you, because we've not, I just want to clarify.
I thought you said we were debating the amendment. And then
so you're still debating, that's fine, just checking the process. That's what I was asked to do. Let me just pass on to our monitoring officer.
As the mover of the original motion, you have the final right to reply on the amendment. So if there's any further debate on the amendment, you might want to wait until the end if you wish, but I don't know if there's any further debate.
Do you want to speak?
Looking around, perhaps.
Okay.
There's not. Is there any further debate on the amendment? No. Okay.
Thank you for
Go
clarifying
ahead.
that
Sorry
point.
to disturb that.
No, that's fine. Thank you for clarifying that point. As I was saying, as Councillor Williams mentioned it, he has always supported previously, or the previous administration has always supported the Independent Remuneration Panel, and that is the case in many other councils. It is normal to accept the report from the Independent Remuneration Panel. The reason that councils appoint independent persons is so that we are not seen to be setting our own allowances and making our own judgments. And in line with the Nolan principles in public life, I think it's really important that we hold clear that we are not setting our own allowances, we are not making judgments against each other or what each of us is doing. I appreciate and I acknowledge that issues were raised at the Overview and Scrutiny Committee about the process of the consultation. I want to say that every councillor was emailed and contacted about this. Every councillor had the opportunity to contribute to the report, and group leaders were all invited to meet. Now, I know that didn't take place, but we are not here to attack the process. The people that brought forward this report have done other councils too. So it is not just this council they're assessing us against other councils. The increases, I agree that the report was light on some of the substantive points, but the increases were put forward on the basis of the degree of expertise that was required and the level of competence required for those extra committees. And in terms of not reducing, of the other scrutiny committees, if you're looking at workload, it's worth noting that we actually have fewer scrutiny committee meetings than we used to previously. With regards to the second leader, the leader of the opposition, at the time that the committee met, the independent panel, I should say, when the time the independent panel met, there were 5 members of the Labour group. It was acknowledged that we are in a minority in administration. All the group leaders have to work together to make sure the smooth running of the council and that we can deliver on our agenda. And that involves the second leader, the leader of the second opposition, just as much as the leader of the first opposition and myself as leader. So I think it is right to recognise that the work that is done, and I think your amendment, you mention and acknowledge the work that is done, and I think it's right that we, in line with the consistency of adopting the Independent Remuneration Panel's advice, that we adopt the whole thing as a single package. So I guess my point is, Once you start to unpick one thing and you say, oh, we don't think this person's this role involves this, or this role doesn't involve that, and we start interfering, the whole thing gets unpicked, I think, just as Councillor Greenfield has suggested. So I guess my question is, if you want to unpick it, Councillor Williams, would it make a difference to you, since you've mentioned it, if you were paid more as the second opposition, as the first opposition? I don't think that's what you want, but I'm happy for you to respond to that. My view is, whatever the imperfections of this, it is only for 2 years. We know that we're going to go through this whole process again when we have a new unitary authority. We accept the independent remuneration panel's recommendations, warts and all, but we maintain our integrity as a council in not setting our own allowances on our own whims and according to political motivation. So I hope that this amendment will be rejected and that the council will stand by the advice of the independent remuneration panel and accept its recommendations.
Thank you. So we will now vote on the amendment. This will be a recorded vote. This will be conducted electronically using your microphones. Instructions are available at your seats. If you experience any difficulty in casting your vote, please raise your hand and assistance will be provided. To agree the amendment, and to be clear, this is on the amendment only, to agree the amendment, vote yes. To oppose the amendment, vote no. If you wish, you may select to abstain. I will now hand over to Democratic Services to conduct the vote. Councillor Williams? I don't need you to answer the question you were invited to ask, because that's not, is this a process
I wasn't going to
issue?
answer that question, but I am quite happy as I am. You're just making it procedurally correct. If we're going to have a recorded vote, it needs to be requested by 3 members. I am formally requesting a recorded vote.
Seconded, do I have third? And Councillor Guest, thank you for that. So I will now hand over to Democratic Services.
Please just give me a second to set the vote up.
You're keeping me on my toes this evening, everybody.
I will shortly be opening the vote. They should appear on your screen as normal. The instructions are on your desk on how to vote. If anyone has any trouble or has forgotten since the last time, please raise your hand and I will come and help you. Can anyone confirm that they haven't got a vote option on their screen? Excellent. Okay, we are missing a couple of votes. Do check your screen. Still waiting for one. Unless anyone's left that I've not seen. No. Is anyone having issues and they feel they don't know if they have or haven't voted? No. I'm going to close the vote.
Thank you. I can now confirm the results of the recorded vote are as followed. For 15, Against, 19. Abstain, 5. The amendment is not carried, so we will now return to debate on the substantive motion. Does anyone wish to speak?
I propose we move to a vote.
Let me just clarify the process. Okay, if you're happy to go to a vote and don't need to say any more, then we will move to a vote. So this is not on the amendment, this is on the original. Sorry, let me just clarify. I think there's some confusion from our officers here, but I just wish to clarify some conflicting.
No. Yeah.
Councillor Williams, we're going to a vote. Would you like it to be recorded again? Thank you.
And 2 others.
2 others. Thank you.
So, yeah. Okay, once again, I will open the vote. It will appear on your screens. Again, do put your hands up if there are any issues.
Not sure what's happening there. If you have any issues with something not working, please raise your hand.
I am. Okay, I'm going to close the vote now.
Thank you. There was a faulty machine. So I can confirm the results of the vote are as followed. 4 is 25 to take into account the faulty machine. Against is 15. So the substantive motion is carried. If I can now hand back to Councillor Symington to introduce the remaining referrals from Cabinet, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just need to check. I think we're on item 8.4, is that correct? Thank you.
Yes.
So item 8.4, CA/37/26, Financial Regulations and Debt Management Policy. I move the recommendations are set out under item 8.4 of the agenda. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
The recommendations agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Item 8.5, CA/38, sorry. I'll start again. CA/38/26, Renters' Rights Act 2025, Private Sector Housing Policy Renewal. I move the recommendations as set out under item 8.5 of the agenda. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you. Can I just clarify, I've had someone, councillor Greenfield.
Yes, I would just like to make a comment. In a section on there, it refers to the chairman of the Housing Association. And as this council has a policy for gender inclusive language, could we have that changed to chair of the Housing Committee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was just clarifying we didn't need another vote on that one, so we don't, thankfully. Okay, so are those recommendations agreed? Thank you. So, agenda item 9, I invite Councillor Stevens to introduce the changes to Constitution and Planning Code of Conduct.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll take it as read that you've all read the paper that went with it. Following a series of member workshops led by the Head of Development Management and officers, the outcome was agreed by the Development Management Committee at its meeting on the 12th of March. The implementation of the proposals will require changes to the Constitution and the Planning Code of Practice. This item seeks to make changes to parts 3, 4 and 5 of the Council's Constitution. These changes all relate to decision-making and or procedures within development management, both at an officer level and at the Development Management Committee. You may pose the question, why make the changes? The work was considered necessary in light of the proposed government changes to planning committees, the increased workload and therefore the capacity issues within Development Management Service. The government published the draft regulation on a national scheme of delegation on the 26th of March for consultation. Many of our changes anticipate the national scheme of delegation. And as a result of the input of the committee, the main examples of the changes listed in the Appendix A are to reduce the number of small applications, householders, lawful development certificates, going to Development Management Committee by introducing, firstly, the removal of the Town and Parish Council call-in for householder planning applications. Currently, this would automatically need to go to DMC where there's a contrary view to officers. Also, the call-in of householder applications via the ward councillor remains in place, as happens in non-parish parts of decorum. And it also removes the ward councillor call-in for lawful development certificates. And here I just draw your attention to Appendix A, that's been with the papers. The first item has got a typo in it, and it's a correction that it should be the lawful development certificate. Members, however, agreed that applications from staff and members would continue to be taken at DMC, and therefore these proposals have not been taken forward. The committee also agreed a number of procedural changes, and for clarification, we're going to limit any individual speaker, whether as the only speaker or as part of a group, to 3 minutes. We've all seen what happens when 5 minutes gets taken over by 90% by one speaker. Ward councillors would continue to have 5 minutes. We're confirming arrangements that the 10 and 10:30 p.m. Development Management Committee should apply. There will be an option for the chair to invite the head of development management to summarise matters ahead of the vote. And there will be an option for the chair to adjourn the meeting for major planning applications should the motion on the officer recommendation fall. This is to allow officers to meet in a separate room to agree the reasons for refusal rather than conduct a discussion in public. There is an updated planning code of conduct. This provides additional clarity on the roles of officers, members, and the chair of DMC. More detail on arrangements for DMC briefings and site visits. More detail on member training. New sections on performance reporting in DMC and the feedback loops. This proposal is the culmination of a lengthy and thorough process reviewing DMC processes. While the quick wins have already been implemented, further changes are only possible by changing the Council's constitution. These amendments aim to clarify roles, streamline decision-making processes, and ensure that planning procedures remain transparent and accountable. The revised constitution will better reflect current legislative requirements and local policy priorities, while updates to the Planning Code of Practice are intended to enhance guidance for members and officers involved in making planning decisions. Overall, it is considered that these changes bring decorum into line with national best practice and prepares decorum for the existing and future government regulations and development pressures. I move that Council agrees to adopt the recommendations as set out in the report. Thank you.
Do you have a seconder?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I second it and reserve my right.
Thank you. Are members happy to agree? Thank you. So no need for you to speak, but thank you. So, agenda item 10, overview and scrutiny referrals, there are none. So that brings us to agenda item 11, changes to committee membership. I am advised of the following changes for independent members. Councillor Pringle has stepped down from her position on the Electoral Review Committee, and Councillor Madden will take up this position. Councillor Ron Tindall to take up the vacant position on Finance and Resource. Could I please ask the group leaders if there are any further changes to note?
Madam Mayor, I have none to note at this meeting. Thank you.
No changes from the Labour Group.
Thank you. And finally, to agenda item 12, changes to committee dates, there are none. And that concludes the business of this evening's meeting. Thank you, everybody.